Hi, how are you? I'm the host and founder of the thriving Facebook group, The Spiritual Entrepreneurs, and welcome to today's show, another fabulous and fantastic show, the Startup Celebrity Show, where we showcase emerging startup spiritual entrepreneurs and we share their gifts and talents to you. So today I have a very ooh la la friend. Miss Celine, and she's from France, but now she's living in Auckland. So I'm like talking to entrepreneurs all around the world. So if you are not leveraging the internet, especially Facebook, you are absolutely missing out. So, we connected through a workshop that we did together. And so here we are. I invited her to my Facebook group, and then we sort of like fell in love with one another.
That's correct.
Yeah. So Celine is an international bilingual executive coach. She's bilingual in English and obviously French. She specializes in helping executives and entrepreneurs in achieving more and turning their fears into power. Ooh. And her mission is to help you achieve more success by embracing choices, taking control, and unlocking your ooh la la power. At a young age, she was faced with massive challenges that awakened her soul in such a way that she remembered this inside voice. So I'm not going to read any further because it'd be so much more interesting for her to tell you what that voice is, and is this why you do what you do right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think I was faced with massive hardship, at a young age. And so at the age of 6, I ended up, being in a situation that was really, really hard for a child. And I remember crying and seeing what was unfolding. My mom got very sick, basically, and got taken away to hospital. And I just remember this inside voice, and I don't know if it was an inside voice. I don't know if it was, some form of spirit or my higher, self, and stopping crying and really I told myself that I'm going to be happy no matter what. And I remember this day very clearly. And I guess it really determined who I was going to be. Mm-hmm. That no matter what challenges comes through, no matter what great things comes through, I'm always going to turn it into something good and positive. So in my life, I've managed to turn those negative events or emotions into the drive, into the fuel that got me through, empowering me through life. And really reaching my goals and dreams and turning them into reality, and really getting over those fears, because we all have lots of fears that come up in general, and it's how do you cope with it?
Yeah. So how do you overcome your fear? I mean, I know you were from France, and now you're living in Auckland. Was that move scary at all, or it just kind of like transitioned? Because I know like we are so global right now. Just because I'm from Singapore, it doesn't mean that I can't live elsewhere. And I know there are a lot of entrepreneurs desiring to move out of their country right now. It's interesting. There's this influx of this movement, right?
Yeah.
So were there fears around that move?
Absolutely. But the fact is, I guess the age of 13, I started to look out. I look out for overseas. I saw this documentary about, French people leaving France with a backpack and really trying this new life and discovering, other cultures and everything. And this is what I wanted to do. And so I actually told my parents, they had just separated. I told each of them separately, and I said, I want to do this now. So of course, they're like, oh, school is mandatory until 16, so you're going to have to wait. So I knew education was important, so I got my education, and I wanted sort of an additional bonus, for myself to stand out in the market. And so I decided that improving my English would be really, really great. Mm-hmm. And I was 21. Originally, I wanted to go to Australia. but I couldn't afford the ticket, the flight ticket, and my parents couldn't help me financially. So I went to England, where they speak English as well, and I could afford, the train and the ferry. And yes, there was definitely some fear because I really believe that it is easier to stay in your comfort zone than actually really getting out. But what I've learned from it, and having lived now in 4 different countries in different cities, I've kind of started my life from scratch 7 times. And from ground zero, getting a job. I mean, now I'm in business. I've got a couple of business activities, including obviously the coaching for the last few years. But it's been a great journey to discover myself and to also realize that you are much stronger than you actually think. And when you get out of your comfort zone, you have to adapt, and so I really learned to adapt to so many different people from all walks of life and and worked with, such a wide range of people and nationalities. And I kind of fell in love with that. And of course there was fears, and my concept was, well, I'm scared, but I'm going to do it anyway, no matter what.
So
and
I'm gonna stop you for a while because before I have 3-second memory, otherwise I forget my question. So you said you restarted your life 7 times.
Yes.
And and that's really interesting because 7 times to restart and rebuild is like so scary, and no wonder you are working with fears, right?
Yeah.
Like, we entrepreneurs are so afraid of actually failing and then starting something to fail and that kind of thing. How was it? So it's like, was it different every time you restarted your life? Like, what was the same and what was different? Like, could you share with us like your experience in those 7 times?
Yes. So the first time was definitely the scariest one.
Sure.
And the first time, and I was 21, and I was doing it in a way where it was going to be safe. So for my family to not freak out, literally, I said, okay, I'm going to be an au pair in a family with, 2 children. I can look after them and I'll be a student in English. Mm-hmm. So instead of just going off with a backpack. But it was scary. Also, I realized that in France, you learn languages since the age of 11, but you don't really get great teachers. They're not, going back to the country to learn the updated language. So you arrive there, and it's like I was surrounded by, these walls of sound. I was like stuck in this box, really not much understanding, nor, I wasn't being understood either. Mm-hmm. And being a communicator from quite a young age, I was like, it's just not going to stay that way. I need to make a difference for myself. So I became really passionate about the language. I also wanted to be safe while traveling, to, discover the world, but I also really didn't want to be limited in my career. Mm-hmm. And the only way was to speak fluently, English. So I had this book with me, and after 6 weeks working really hard, and I think just really, really getting deep with it and changing my belief that, French people are not good with languages. Like, you have to start with your belief first and sort those out.
Oh, God, but it's so interesting, you see, Celine. I mean, the French language is so beautiful.
Yeah.
It's literally the grass is green on the other side. Like, I speak English, but I have a funny accent. So I think it has stopped me from a lot of things in the past until I kind of like own my voice, own my accent, own my imperfect English. I mean, grammatically, I'm crap at it. But I guess, what I'm focusing on is the message is clear. But yes, really interesting. Both of us, English is not our sort of like, I mean, we learn English, but it's not like, like the first language. We both have dialects, so to speak. Like mine's Chinese, that's French, right? But your first language. So it's interesting because to me, it's like music. I don't know what they're talking about when I was like, oh, we just sit there.
Yeah, everyone loves French, but the fact is, I was living in an English-speaking country, and for me, I was not going to be stuck, having to do something that I didn't want to do for, the rest of my life. I really wanted to, reach higher grounds. So after 6 weeks, I woke up and one day, and I was thinking straight in English. I was no longer translating in my brain. I was like able to communicate straight through. And when it happened, I remember the feeling, the amazing feeling, as I just saw the possibilities in life. I really saw it. I saw that if you really apply yourself, if you really focus, you can do anything.
So how long did that take for you to not translate that in your mind? Did that take a long?
6 weeks.
Wow!
Yeah.
You're kidding.
No, I'm not.
Wow.
But yeah, so I think I just really applied something that worked for me. And
did you just suddenly one day it clicked, or like?
Yeah, I woke up one morning and I knew that I had this dream, and I was like dreaming in English and thinking straight, and no longer having to translate. And then I was like, okay, well, I'm going to actually find a proper job, and everything else happened. And then I traveled around Europe. I moved to Scotland, so again, had to start again. But then it just became easier. At the time also, I was with my ex-Kiwi partner, which is why I originally ended up in New Zealand. But it got easier and easier. But I have to say, it's a lot of pressure. And I remember, I think it was the third or fourth time I lived in South Island in New Zealand, and my relationship broke up. And after a few months on leave, 6 months later, I decided to go back to France, spend a bit of time there, and then go back to New Zealand to live in Wellington, move cities. I really enjoyed visiting there, and I decided this was it. My only friend was gone. And after 6 months, I came back, and I couldn't wait. I can't explain it. I had nothing. My parents and my brothers were like, why do you want to go back? How long is that going to take you to get a place to stay, a job, friends? And so I gave them 3 weeks, which is a really short time.
Mm-hmm.
And after 5 days, I called them up and I said, all right, so I've got everything. So, after 2 days, I had found like a proper job. But I used to literally, I knocked on like the companies that I wanted to work with, like physically. I would go and visit them. Like I didn't just wait and send my CV through emails or, on a phone call. I literally just went and introduced myself. So that's
action. Like that's where so many people are stuck, because they read the book, The Secret, and they're like, oh man, why is it not happening? And so you literally, like you said, 3 weeks is a short period of time actually to have for a deadline.
Yeah.
But within 5 days, you're done.
Yeah. And my family wasn't pleased with that, of course, because that meant that I was not going to come back. And, they almost wanted me to fail just so they could have me back in France.
Stop there. Interesting. Like there's magic, that's gold there. Like sometimes the love for you may be setting up for you to fail from your family.
Yeah.
And how did you cope with that? Because that's a deep topic for many people, especially.
Yes. Well, I heard them, and I knew that they were coming from a good place, and that it was just because they were missing me. Like I just knew that they had good intention.
Right.
But of course they knew nothing about the overseas world, and so they just could not believe that, after 5 days I was like sorted. And so they were also proud of me for, being so determined and making things happen for myself. But it was a challenge, especially I think the first 6 years I was away. They really struggled with me being away. And just coming back for holidays.
Who struggled the most?
Pardon? Who struggled the most? Oh, I think my father. Yes,
really?
My father. But really, actually, my twin brother. I have a twin brother, and we're very opposite. So I've been wanting to see the world and sort of settle where we were born and everything. And so for him, sometimes he used to send me those emails that were not so nice because I wasn't there. But
not again, so nice, meaning what? He abusive?
He was upset. Oh no, not abusive, but he was not nice, like he was upset basically. So he would just say, "Why aren't you here?" And and ask me those questions and not understanding me. And it was partly because he didn't put himself in my shoes. He
Right.
just saw that we were the same, but we were different people. We wanted different things, and he had to accept that. And after 6 years, he finally got it. He finally got it
Wow,
that
6 years, long time.
I know, but like he finally got it that, hey, I want different things in my life, and living overseas is something that I enjoy, and and he has a different life than me, and that's okay. I
So
think
has your pursuit of your own happiness made
yes.
an impact in your family and your community, especially your family?
Yeah, I think they really saw. Actually, my brother has admitted that he couldn't do what I did. He couldn't do what I do. Like it takes a lot of courage, but I think everyone has courage. It's just they express it or they apply it in different ways. And it really is that you have to follow your passion. If your passion is to go overseas and make a life outside and discover the world, then go for it. If your dream is to buy a house and settle, where you were born and near your family, then also go for it. There's no rules. And it's really about what makes you fulfilled,
Yeah.
and living this full life.
So, I guess hearing your story, it comes to this point where I would usually ask, drop the story, drop whatever you have said early on, and what's the tip right now to give people who um
Are stuck?
want to go for it, but they're not confident. They don't know, like they know their soul is pulling them, to somewhere. Like you yourself, your soul is pulling you out of France. So there are so many people feel like their soul is calling them to somewhere else, but yet it's not aligned. So what's the one tip that you can give people right now that they can implement and feel better about themselves?
To really take action, but make a plan and set deadlines. Like it's like, is that going to be 6 weeks? Is that going to be 6 months that you give yourself, and maybe saving money and do all the things that you need to do. Also prepare yourself for the fact that your family may not be happy for you to leave. I mean, my family encouraged me to improve my English, but they had no idea that, of course, it was going to go on a lot longer. And so they will be faced with people that are negative about this whole like going outside your own country, but you learn so much from for yourself. You grow so much on a personal level, and then once you do that, it really shows you that you actually get into your power zone, because staying in your comfort zone can only get you as far as that. If you want anything more in life, you really need to get out of that. And by going overseas and having to adapt to a different culture and meet new people and maybe, really get better at the language that this country is speaking, it really, really empowers you to more in life and really see things. So the tip is really to take action anyway.
Hmm.
And but you take one step at a time. Like I think people look at these things and they're like, oh my God, there's no way I can reach this.
Right.
Don't break it down. I have another business activities, which is providing project management services in IT. And so it's like a project, you need to break it down to stages. You need to break it down to milestone, and you need to celebrate along the way. And I think people don't do that enough.
Yeah, totally. Cool tips. I totally get it. You feel the fear, but you do it anyway. And so where can we find your Ooh La La program?
Yeah, well, you can find me on my website, which is www.celinegrelard.com. You can find me on all the social media. You can find all those connections actually on my landing page, website, and connect with me. Connect with me through Facebook or Instagram, Twitter. And you can book a 10-minute call, and I usually offer 30 actually I make it 30 to 45 minutes depending on the need, strategy call, for free for people to really discuss what they're after and how we can get them unstuck and really empowered to do what they want to actually do. And it's about really stopping the thinking and really starting the doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So true, so true. I think all entrepreneurs need this unstuck activity to get unstuck. We have all these great ideas in our head, but now what? Usually we are stopped by our own fears, our own belief system. And now somebody like Celine who has done it not once, not twice, but 7 times. So she knows what she's talking about. So go connect with her. And what a wonderful episode again. And I thank you all for joining me.
And thank you, Elise. And it's been really, really nice to connect with you again after being in Bali together.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, this is what global community is all about. It's like there is no borders, there's no end, there's no beginning. We just all blend in, and divine timing, we will meet again. So
that's right. And you're welcome to come to New Zealand.
Thank you.
I've been to Singapore last year, and I will definitely go back again for sure.
Actually, New Zealand and Singapore's not too far away, right? Like what?
No, it's not. It's not.
8 hours?
Something like this. 8-9 hours. It's pretty easy. Yeah.
Yeah. We're at the end of the day, we are all just a plane ride away. So there's absolutely no reason why you shouldn't travel. And traveling does feed the soul. And if you have resistance with traveling, I mean, think about this. If the world were to end tomorrow, would you regret not traveling? So yes, I'll totally love to come to Auckland soon, and one day, hopefully this year, if not the next. But yeah, you can always join us again in another episode where I will interview another gem, another emerging superstar. That's what our show is all about, to feature emerging spiritual entrepreneur superstar to showcase their gift and talent. Alrighty, thank you for joining me. If you are not already part of my community, I highly encourage you to join us in the Facebook group, The Spiritual Entrepreneurs, where we are hosting more than 17,000 members from around the world. And Celine is one of our members. I found her. I recruited her while traveling to Bali. And, so when you have a place to meet, you can just invite people in. And so that's what's so cool about Facebook group.
Yeah. And it's really about being surrounded by like-minded people, and people that had these dreams and actually made them happen as well.
Yeah, you have to surround yourself with A players, surround yourself with like-minded people, mastermind with them, ping pong your ideas with them, and together you can create a wonderful world to live in. And we can change the world in one generation. All right.
Sure.
So
Ciao.
Thank you so much for joining us. And
au revoir.
all right.